Good evening, Sandil. Shall we start, Lamai? Right. Tax incidents. Lamai, can you see the screen I'm sharing? Yes. Okay. Tax incidents. Lamai, incidents mean burden, right? Because tax is a burden for both consumers and producers, right? Because consumer has to pay a higher price after the tax. Then it's an additional burden for consumer. Producer also, Lamai, producer also has a burden himself because the point is, Lamai, the producer gets a lower price. Can you remember actual price received by producer? It's less than original equilibrium price. Okay, so what I need to say, producer and consumer both, right? Where, or we can say, have the tax burden or incidents. Okay, the Lamai. Okay, read the point. If government imposes a unit tax on goods and services, distribution of tax incidents, Lamai. This is called distribution of tax incidents between consumer and producer is determined by, this is very important, Lamai, price elasticity of demand and price elasticity of supply. These are the two things. Okay, the Lamai. I'll explain this point. Emoni, good evening. Why are you late? Church? Right, okay, Lamai. Listen me carefully. Right. Right. Lamai, example number 2 in our original tute, the introduction part for the tax. Okay. Sport. Right. Lamai, can you tell me values in first example, Lamai? No, second example in your tute, 2000, no, example number 2, just values, Lamai. QD equals 100 minus 4P. Here QD, sorry, intercept is 100, maximum demand price is 25. Can you remember that question, Lamai? Just go through the tute, Lamai. Demand curve and supply curve, intercept minus 30 plus 6p, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, the lamai. Here intercept is 5 and original equilibrium price is 13 and quantity 48. Can anyone remember this question, Lamai? Sigma? I think example number 2. Am I correct? Yes? Yeah, hurry up, Lamai.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Right. Now what happened is government imposes a unit tax of how much the unit tax is, Lamai? Can you tell me? In this example, how much unit tax is? 5, 6? Hayo Lamai, ikman karannogo. How much unit tax is? I think,
Searching for the check.
Huda, can you speak bit louder? Huh? How much unit tax is? 5?
Yes, sir. 5.
5, okay. Right. Then your supply curve shifts to the left by unit tax. Like this, S2 or something, right? Parallel curves. Then you can see new equilibrium. New equilibrium. Can you tell me the new equilibrium price, Lamai? 16? 15? අයියෝ ළමයි ඔයාලගේ ටියුට් එක ගන්න එක්සාම්පල් නම්බර් 2 අපි ඔයාගේ නෝට් එකේ හදලා ඇති මට ඒක කියන්න මේ new equilibrium price how much new equilibrium price is 16 good thank you equilibrium quantity 36 ද ළමයි 36
Yes, sir. 36.
okay very good then ළමයි actual price received by producer should be 11 rupees ළමයි okay 11 rupees right then this is the tax total tax income earned by the government right lamai look at the board before tax I need answers right tell me lamai before tax I mean if there's no tax how much the price okay paid by consumer to buy one unit without tax ඉක්මන කියන්න ළමයි ඉක්මනට යන්න ඕන අපිට ඉක්මනට කියන්න ඕනේ
Rupees.
Kunara how much the price that consumer has to pay to buy one unit if there's no unit tax in the market
10 rupees.
13.
13 very good yeah then pb consumer has to pay 13 rupees lamai after tax sigma after tax how much does consumer have to pay to buy one unit
16, sir.
16 lamaya then you can see lamai 16 sorry to buy same unit right one unit consumer has to pay lamai 3 rupees additional why same unit same product but after the tax lamai 3 rupees consumer before tax 13 now 16 3 rupees is additionally paid by consumer lamai okay then this is additional burden lamai right so this is called lamai consumer tax burden consumer tax burden or incident consumer tax burden okay the lamai any doubt no right right then lamai producer look at producer side before tax Sitma, how much does producer receive before tax if they sell one unit
13.
very good 13 because what consumer pays directly goes to producer. It means PS is 13 rupees lamai before tax. After tax, Punara. How much does producer receive after tax? Net value, I'm asking net value. How much left in producer's hand?
11.
11. Very good, lamai. Then before tax, 13. After tax, 11 lamai. Okay, then you can see producer's net price has decreased by 2 rupees lamai. This 2 is called lamai what? Producer tax burden. Producer tax burden. Okay, the lamai. Right. Then consumer bears 3 rupees. Producer bears 2 rupees lamai. All together, how much the value lamai? Producer tax burden plus consumer tax burden. Hurry up lamai. 3 plus 2. How much the value?
5
Total
rupees.
tax burden lamai.
5 rupees.
5. Our unit tax is how much lamai? 5 rupees. Okay, the lamai. Then this burden, total burden of consumer and producer becomes a revenue for government lamai. Understand? Government can earn 5 rupees from selling one unit. Understand? It's an advantage for government, but this burden lamai, this burden goes to consumers and producers. Okay, the lamai. Here you can see lamai 60% burden goes to consumer, 40% burden goes to producer because 2 rupees lamai. If you calculate percentage value. Okay, the lamai. This percentage or how the tax incident or burden of tax is distributed among consumer and producer depends on price elasticity of demand and supply both. Lamai, in some cases, consumer bears, let's say, lamai 50%. Producer also 50% in some cases. Sometimes lamai consumer 10%, producer 90%. In some cases, lamai consumer is given entire tax burden, lamai producer has no tax burden. Then this percentage, lamai, this distribution, right? The distribution of tax burden between consumer and producer depends on price elasticity of demand. Okay, the lamai. This is the today lesson. Any doubt, lamai? මොනවද තියෙනවා නම් කියන්න ඉක්මනට කරන්න. අටවහන් ඉන්න එපා ළමයි. This is your class. You can talk and you can ask anything. Okay, the ළමයි?
Okay, sir.
Okay, right. Right. Lamai, now, yeah, move to the tute. Yes. Consumer tax incident of consumer, it can be calculated. How to calculate, Lamai? In my example, 16 minus 30. 13 is the tax incident, Lamai. Then you can make your own example, Lamai. But remember this tax incident per unit, per unit. Okay, the lamai. 16, Sigma, 16 means, what is 16?
Equilibrium price before tax.
Equilibrium price before tax. Write down an equation, lamai. Equilibrium price before tax. Before, okay, the lamai, tax. No, sorry. First one is equilibrium price after tax, right? Sorry. 16 mean, lamai. Equilibrium price after tax minus equilibrium price before tax. Sandil, are you okay? Clear, Buddha? 16 mean equilibrium price. 13 also equilibrium price. Plus one 16 mean equilibrium price after tax. The here equilibrium price mean before tax. Okay, the lamai. Then you can calculate before tax. Then you can calculate consumer tax burden per unit. Tax incidence of producer. Tax incidence of producer. How to calculate, lamai? Sandil, here in my example, tax incident of producer is 2 rupees. How did I calculate, lamai? 13 minus 11. Okay, the lamai. 13. Sandil, tell me what it is. 13. Sitma, 13. Hey, lamai,
Equilibrium
lamai
price
kata
before
karanne.
tax.
Huh?
Equilibrium price before tax.
Equilibrium price before tax. 11.
Actual price received by producer.
Actual price received by producer. Write down, lamai. Tax incidence of producer equals equilibrium price before tax minus actual price received by producer after tax. Actual price received by producer after tax. 11. Right? 11 mean actual price, PS, received by producer after tax. Any doubt, Lamai? No. 13 mean, Lamai, actual price received by producer before tax. We can say before tax. Remoni, are you okay? Before tax. Okay, the Lamai. Then can you shade the area of producer tax burden and consumer tax burden on the graph? That's the important part. Now my total tax burden of consumer is shown by this rectangle because 16 minus 13 mean this distance. If you want to calculate total tax burden, Lamai, you need to multiply this per unit tax burden by 36. It's mean, Lamai, this is the total tax burden of consumer. Total tax burden of consumer. Okay, the Lamai. Right? Then total tax burden of producer. 13 minus 11. This is small distance. If you want to calculate total tax burden of producer, you need to multiply this distance by new equilibrium quantity. Okay, the Lamai. This is producer tax burden, Lamai. Then you can say, Lamai, consumer tax burden plus producer tax burden, Lamai, exactly equals government tax revenue. Understand? Okay, the Lamai. So this one shows the, write down, Lamai. This one is consumer tax burden. Consumer tax burden. This one is producer tax burden. Producer tax incident or burden. Ask anything, Lamai. If you add these together, you can calculate total government tax revenue. Okay, the Lamai. Finish. Punara, Ayatmi. Okay. Okay. Write it down, Lamai. What to do, Sandil? Can't you hear me? Is it raining there? I have just sent the photo of this car to the group and go through. Okay, Lamai. Shall we move on? Yes. Sitma? Others?
No, sir.
Do you need more time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Take it. Yeah. Lamai, this is the last part of unit tax lesson. If you can catch this lesson properly, then you're perfect in taxation part. Others, Lamai, do you need more
Done,
time?
sir.
Yes?
Done, sir.
Done. Good. Others, Lamai? Punara?
Done.
Done. Good. Then let's move on. Remoni? Right. Okay, Lamai. Then we need to discuss one by one. Yes. First one. Total tax burden. Sorry, burden of taxes borne by consumer. This means total tax burden goes to consumer. Lamai. Producer bears nothing. Okay, the Lamai. Producer enjoy himself, right? Nothing to worry, but entire tax burden falls on the shoulders of consumer. It's not good, but nothing to do, Lamai. Right. This occurs in mainly in two situations, Lamai. Number one, if there is a perfectly inelastic demand, this happens. Second one is, Lamai, perfectly elastic supply. Okay, if demand is perfectly inelastic and supply is perfectly elastic, Lamai, the total tax burden goes to consumer. Producer has nothing. Good. Okay, the Lamai. It occurs when the equilibrium price increases by same amount of unit tax. Yes, here, Lamai, equilibrium price increases by the amount of unit tax. It happens under the following situations. There are two situations. Okay, right? Okay, you can draw Lamai now because you know now curves and everything. Right, first one, Lamai, perfectly inelastic demand. I'll do it for you. Perfectly inelastic demand. Perfectly inelastic demand. Perfectly inelastic demand. Right. Now, lamai, demand is specific. Perfectly inelastic demand. First one. Perfectly inelastic demand. Okay, the lamai. Price, quantity, zero. Perfectly inelastic demand. This is the curve. Can you remember, lamai? It's parallel to the price axis. This is the demand curve. Okay, the lamai. Now draw a normal supply curve, lamai. Demand is okay, perfectly inelastic. Draw a normal supply curve like this. Supply curve. And mark the new equilibrium, lamai. This is the equilibrium point. Equilibrium price and quantity. Assume equilibrium price is P1, quantity is Q1. Okay, the lamai. Now what happens? I assume equilibrium price is lamai 10 rupees. Now, Lama, just imagine government imposes a unit tax of 5 rupees. Tax is 5 rupees. It's mean, Lama, your supply curve shifts to the left side by 5 rupees by unit tax, Lama. By unit tax. Okay, the Lama. This is the new supply curve. Where is new equilibrium, Lama? This is the new equilibrium point. Now, Lama, you can see equilibrium price increases up to 15 rupees. It's mean Lama, equilibrium price increases by the unit tax, Lama, because this gap equal 5 rupees, Lama. This gap and this gap equal, Lama. What does it mean? Equilibrium price increases by the amount of unit tax, Lama. Understand, right? It means, Lama, understand, Buddha, don't try to cut apart on this one, right? It's not going to work out. Right? Understand what I'm talking. Right? Then Sitma tell me how much unit tax Buddha? 5 rupees. Right? Before unit tax lamai, consumer pays 10 rupees. After unit tax, consumer has to pay 15 rupees lamai. Then you can see lamai, the entire tax burden goes to consumer. That's why lamai 10 rupees, now 15 rupees. Okay, the lamai. Here lamai, the entire tax burden goes to consumer. Producer doesn't bear any tax burden. I'll draw it. Give you one. Right. Assume this is S2. Then you can see Lama equilibrium price increases by unit tax. Here P1, P2. You can see Lama equilibrium quantity doesn't change. That point is important. Equilibrium quantity does not change. Okay, the Lama. Then here entire tax burden goes to consumer. P1, P2, I'll put some letters lamai A and B. A and B. Okay, the lamai. Now you can complete consumer tax below the curve lamai. Okay. Consumer tax burden. Consumer tax burden. Puta, in letters, can you say it? Consumer tax burden. The entire tax burden goes to producer. So you can say P1, P2, AB. P1, P2, AB. Producer tax burden. Punara. Producer tax burden. Which area does show the producer tax burden? Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Are you not clear? Sitma?
Yes, sir.
Which area shows the producer tax burden? Which letters?
P
Producer tax burden.
0.
Huh?
0.
0. Yes, very good. Here, producer does not have a tax burden. Government tax revenue. Government tax revenue. Government tax revenue equals consumer tax burden lamai P1, P2, A and B. Okay, the lamai. Complete the point lamai. Punara, can you hear me, Buddha? Are you there? Oh, go on.
I can hear you.
Okay. Are you clear this? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then Lama, here you can complete. There are two rows after the diagram. Actually, it should be 3 rows, Lama. Producer tax burden, consumer tax burden, government tax revenue. Okay, here consumer tax burden equals what government earns, Lama. In other words, we can say the government earns tax revenue from only consumer. Perfectly inelastic. Okay, the lamai. Lamai. ළමයි කතා කරන්න යන්නේ ළමයි. Okay, right. Second one. Can you draw second one yourself? Perfectly elastic supply. Here supply curve is specific ළමයි. You can draw supply curve given and normal demand curve. Okay, the ළමයි. Okay, I'll do it for you. Right, second one. Perfectly elastic supply. Perfectly elastic supply. Without draw the original equilibrium. Price, quantity, perfectly elastic supply lamai. This is a shape. Supply curve, normal demand curve. This is a demand curve. Okay, the lamai. This is equilibrium price and quantity. Right? P1 and Q1. Now what happens lamai? Assume government imposes 5 rupee unit tax, then your supply curve shifts to left. Let me like here upward like this. Okay, the lamai like S2. Then you can see lamai, this is the new equilibrium price and quantity. Here lamai equilibrium quantity falls, right? Remember, and you can see equilibrium price increases by the same amount of unit tax lamai. This unit tax and increase in equilibrium price both are equal lamai. Okay, the lamai. So this is the tax burden, small area, right? Then I'll put letters lamai P1, P2, A and B, A and B. Here, not here, A and B. Okay, the lamai. Then you can say consumer tax burden, consumer tax. Ane, sorry lamai. Can you hear me now? I have missed this is my problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you okay? Done? Do you need more time?
Done, sir.
Done. Others?
Still writing, sir.
Okay. Ayatmi, now you can hear me, right?
Done, sir.
Done. Others, Lamai, shall we move on? Next one. Okay, right? Okay. Right. Third one is Lamai. Sorry, second category is, I think, okay, equal tax burden. More tax. One is missing, Lamai. Total tax burden borne by consumer. Total tax borne by producer is not given with Lamai. Right. Okay. We'll do equal tax burden. Now, Lamai, the tax burden is distributed equally between consumers and producers. Okay, the Lamai. Puta, this happens. It occurs when price elasticity of demand and supply are equal, Lamai. Understand? If price elasticity of demand and supply are equal at equilibrium, Lamai, then Lamai, tax burden is distributed between consumers and producers equally. It's mean Lamai, if tax is 10 rupees, 5 rupee burden goes to consumer, another 5 rupee goes to producer. In other words, Lamai, here equilibrium price increases by the 50% of unit tax, Lamai. If unit tax is 10 rupees, equilibrium price increases by 50%. It's been 5 rupees, Lamai. Understand? Other 5 rupees goes to producer. Right? Right. Let's do Lama unitary demand and unitary supply. Both are unitary. Demand also unitary, supply also unitary. Why I have taken these two? Because Lama here, if any situation where price elasticity of demand and supply are equal, then we can say tax burden is equal. Lama. I mean tax burden is distributed among consumers and producers, between consumers and producers equally. Because Lama unitary mean one, PS also one, PD also one. Okay, the Lamai. In this situation, Lamai, tax burden should be distributed between consumers and producers. Right? This is your time, Lamai. Right? Draw it properly. This means here you need to draw unitary demand curve and unitary supply curve. Then mark the equilibrium and then assume that government imposes a unit tax, cause in your supply curve to shift to the left. Then you can mark the new equilibrium. Okay, the Lamai. Then consumer tax burden, producer tax burden. Consumer tax burden and producer tax burden should be okay, the Lamai. Right. This is your time, Lamai, because we have done unitary part. Okay, right. Show your colors, Lamai. Make me proud. Okay, the Lamai. Right. Send me a photo after drawing. Both are unitary lamai, okay? I'll give you 5 minutes lamai. 5 minutes enough. Do you need more time lamai? Yes. Sandil, give a try puta. I don't care your answers lamai. Doesn't matter whether it's correct or wrong. Yes. Others lamai? Left. Kunara? Right. Okay. Yeah. Sigma has drawn it perfectly, no doubt. But Sigma could have shade the areas of consumer tax burden and producer tax. Others, you want to give a try? Morning. Right. Punara, here both are unitary. Both are unitary. Can you remember unitary demand curve? Punara, unitary demand curve is a rectangular hyperbola shape. It goes like this. This is unitary demand curve. Can you remember, Lama? Rectangular hyperbola. So it's like demand curve. Then supply unitary supply curve starts from origin. Remoni, Punara starts from origin like this. Okay, the Lama. Then this is the original equilibrium. P1 and Q1. Now government imposes a unit tax. When government imposes a unit tax, Lamai, supply curve shifts to the left side by unit tax. Assume equilibrium price is 10 rupees, quantity 100 Lamai. Now assume unit tax also 10 rupees. It's mean unit tax shift, sorry, supply curve shift to the left side by unit tax. Okay, Lamai. S2. Okay, the lamai. Then this is the new equilibrium price and quantity. Okay, the punara. Right? Here Buddha equilibrium unit tax 10 rupees. Then 10 divided by 2, 50%, half. Right? 50% mean half, 5 rupees. It means equilibrium price increases by 5 rupees. Then 10 plus 5, 15. It should be 15 rupees. Okay, the lamai. This is price P2. Okay, and Q2. Equilibrium quantity falls, price increases. Then lamai, where is the actual price received by producer, Punara? This is actual price received by producer. Assume, let's say, P naught. Okay, the lamai. If you draw these two diagrams, I mean the whole graphs or the curves properly, consumer tax burden and producer tax burden should be equal. Okay, the lamai. This area, consumer tax burden, and producer tax burden. In my diagram, lamai, it's not equal, but it should be equal, right? If you draw it properly, it should be equal. This is producer tax burden. It means lamai, actual price received by producer should be 5 rupees now. Okay, the lamai. You can put later. A, B, C. Right? Then consumer tax burden. Consumer tax burden should be this triangle, right? Which is shown by the shaded by blue color, right? It's mean P1, P2, A, and B. Producer tax burden should be lamai this one, black one. P0, P1, B and C. B and C. Okay, the lamai. Then final one is government tax revenue. Tax revenue. Tax revenue means total one, total area. Area of total, this the rectangle, right? P0, P2, A, and C. Okay, the lamai. Here, producer, consumer bears 50% tax burden. Producer also 50%. Then this 50%, 50%. Finally, 100% goes to tax government as tax revenue. Lamai. Okay, here it's mean lamai if both PD and PS are equal, okay, tax burden divided equally between consumers and producers. Okay, the punara. Others? Am I? Right, next one. Do you need more time?
Done, sir.
Okay, next one. Next one, more tax burden is borne by the consumer. Like 70% tax burden goes to consumer, 30% goes to producer. This happens, it occurs when highlight lamai, when price elasticity of Puta, this 1.5, give a try to draw this second part in this equally distributed one. Here, second one says a value of price elasticity of demand and supply both equals 1.5. Okay, the lamai. But it's difficult to draw because we cannot draw exactly, I mean, supply curve which has 1.5 price elasticity of demand. It takes time, lamai, right? Okay, I just included this point. If you can give a try at home, second one, right? I'm not going to draw second one here. It's up to you. Right, next one, more tax burden is borne by consumer. It occurs when price elasticity of demand is less than price elasticity of supply. Sigma, what does it mean? Price elasticity of demand is less than price elasticity of supply at the equilibrium. Example, Lama. Price elasticity of demand is less than price elasticity of supply. So that this question was tested in 2017 A-level paper. Draw a diagram showing the more tax burden goes to producer, no, consumer, right? Here, Lamai, PED is less than PES. PED is less than PES. Example, Lama, I'll take PED 0.2. Just imagine, Lama, right? We cannot draw a demand curve. I mean, the 100% perfect demand curve, which has 0.2 PED, Lama. Can do it, but it takes time. Okay, Lama, just imagine 0.2. Assume, Lama, PES 1.6. Because more than this one, then this is inelastic demand. Okay, 1.5 supply mean elastic supply. Okay, the lamai. දැන් මේම කියන්න එපා සර් මෙතෙන් මම 0.2 අරගෙන මෙතන 0.3 ගත්තාම දෙකම ඒම ගන්න එපා. එහෙම ගත්තොත් හදින්න බෑ ළමයි. පුළුවන් මැත්ස් එක යූස් කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම ගන්න එපා ටිකක් අර මේක අර හොඳට තේරෙනවනේ. එතකොට මේ inelastic 0.2 mean inelastic, then you can draw inelastic demand curve. Here elastic supply curve. Okay, the lamai. Did you get the point? Right? Just example, right? Then Puta, if PED is inelastic, how is the curve going? There's a shape. Sigma. මතකද ළමයි මේ ටිකව? නැද්ද?
මතකයි.
මේ elastic supply curve starts with minus intercept from here, like this. This is supply curve which has elastic supply. Then lamai, demand is inelastic. How to draw inelastic demand curve? Inelastic demand curve. Inelastic demand curve. Perfectly inelastic like this. Inelastic goes like this now. This is inelastic demand curve shape. We have done now my 5 shapes. Okay. Then this is new equilibrium price and quantity. Look at the board, I'll do it. P1, Q1. Now assume government imposes a unit tax. Then your supply curve shifts to left side. S2. Then you can see my equilibrium price increases by at a large percentage. Okay. This is the tax burden of consumer. This is the tax burden of producer. Let's say this is P0 and this is new equilibrium quantity Q0. Equilibrium quantity falls, price increases, but you can see like price, the more tax burden belongs to consumer. Okay, the lamai, right? This is consumer's tax burden. Okay, the lamai. Then producer's tax revenue is you can see it's less than original consumer's tax burden. Small one lamai. This distance. It shows the producer's tax revenue. Then you can see lamai. Producer tax burden is lesser than what consumers bears lamai. Okay. So then you can say this is A, B, and C. Then lamai consumer tax burden. Consumer tax burden should be P1, P2, A and B. Producer tax burden should be the small one. P0, P1, B, and C. Then government tax revenue. Tax revenue. Then lamai P0, P2, B and C. Sorry, A and C. Okay, the lamai. Any doubt? Okay, Sandy. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, the lamai. Shall we move on? Uta, here, if you don't know, if you can't remember the elasticity lesson, then it's difficult to catch point. Okay. Done. Good. This new supply curve is a bit unclear. This is new supply curve. Okay, the lamai. Right? Okay. Then we have completed 3 categories. Then next one. More tax burden is borne by consumer. More now next one lamai. More tax burden is borne by producer. Opposite. It occurs when other way lamai. When price elasticity of supply is less than price elasticity of demand. Example lamai, assume price elasticity of supply 0.2, price elasticity of demand 1.6 other way. Now you have to draw punara in 1.2 0.2 mean inelastic supply. So you have to draw inelastic supply curve, and 1.6 mean elastic, then elastic demand curve. Elastic demand curve and inelastic supply curve. That is a first step lamai. Understand? Drawing inelastic demand curve and elastic supply curve. Draw it lamai. Now you can do it. Hurry up. Okeyද ළමයි? Now ළමයි example PES is less than PD. Example ළමයි, for example, you can take any value, right? PS, I'll say 0.2, PS, let's say 1.7 or something. Now the condition fulfilled ළමයි. Then 0.2 mean inelastic. Less than what? Inelastic supply. And 1.7 mean elastic demand. Elastic demand. Okay, the line. Right. Now draw it. Price, quantity, punara, inelastic supply. How is it going? Inelastic supply. The inelastic supply curve starts with positive intercept like this. S. Positive intercept. Positive. Positive. And demand curve is 1.7 elastic. Elastic demand curve. Perfect elastic goes like this, Lama. Elastic mean like this. Okay, the Lama. Now you can draw the original equilibrium. P1, Q1. Now assume Lama, government imposes unit tax. When imposing unit tax, Lamai, supply curve shift to, sorry, should be parallel, Lamai, okay? Supply curve shifts to left. S2. Okay, the Lamai. Then you can say this is the new equilibrium. But now you can see equilibrium price has increased by small value. Okay, it means my consumer has less amount of tax burden. Understand? This is P2. This is Q2. Q1 or whatever, right? Equilibrium price falls, quantity falls, price increase. Okay, but price increases, but by very small value. This is consumer tax burden. This is consumer tax. This is consumer. Okay, Lamai. This big one shows the producer tax burden. Now, producer Lamai bears the greater level of tax burden. Okay, Lamai. It's not good for producers. It happens when PES is less than PED. Okay, right? Then you can put some letters, lamai. P naught A, B, C. Consumer tax burden. Consumer tax burden, producer tax burden, and government tax revenue. Right. Consumer tax burden, lamai. P1, small one. P2, A and B. Producer tax burden, they have a larger part, lamai. P naught, P1, B, C. Government tax revenue, P naught, P2, A, and C. Any doubt, lamai? Ask anything, lamai? Yes. Okay, the lamai. Shall we move on, Pudha? Yes. Anything?
Okay, sir.
Right. Then next one. Finish, I think, right? Yeah, actually, lamai, here we have keep one point. Actually, I have missed that. The total tax burden, the situation where total tax burden goes to producer, that part missing. Okay, the lamai. Right. I'll put into the group. Okay. Last point, lamai. Change in equilibrium price of the product due to unit tax. We know that, lamai, when a unit tax is imposed, equilibrium price is increased, lamai, by the unit tax. So there is an equation to calculate an increase in equilibrium price, lamai. Only increase in equilibrium price. Example, lamai, the example number 2, right? That the press question that I explained at the beginning. Okay, the lamai. Unit tax was 5 rupees, equilibrium price increased by 3 rupees. Okay, the lamai. Then here an increase in equilibrium price can be calculated using this equation, right? When government imposes unit tax on goods and services, equilibrium price of the product changes, yes, or remains constant. Yes. The impact of equilibrium price due to unit tax depends on the price elasticity of demand and supply. We know that. The change in equilibrium price due to unit tax can be calculated using following equation, lamai. Write down this equation. Equation is write down, lamai. Change in price. It means change in equilibrium price equals ED. Now wait. Yeah. ED divided by ES minus ED into delta T. Delta T mean tax, lamai. Okay, na? ED mean price elasticity of demand. ES mean price elasticity of supply. ED mean again price elasticity of demand. Delta T mean unit tax. Okay, the lamai. If you are given price elasticity of demand and supply at the equilibrium and unit tax, amount of unit tax, you can say by how much equilibrium price increases using this equation. Remember this one also, lamai. It will be helpful. Okay, the lamai. Write down the equation. We'll do press question, lamai. Press question. You can see price elasticity of supply 0.6, PES 0.6, PES is always plus lamai. Then PD 0 minus 0.4, PD is minus 0.4, and unit tax 10 rupees lamai. Unit tax is 10 rupees. T is 10 rupees lamai. Then you can substitute values lamai. You can just say by how much equilibrium price increases in this case. Okay, the lamai. Sitma, look at the board lamai. This is the way of substituting. The ED is price elasticity of demand. Oh, give me 1 minute, lamai. Sorry. No, here should be PES lamai. Sorry. Give me 1 minute. 0.6. Yeah, it should be ES lamai. I'm sorry. It should be ES. Price elasticity of supply. Okay, the lamai. Right. ES 0.6 divided by, here be careful lamai, ES again 0.6 minus PD value is minus lamai 0.4 into tax amount is 10. Okay, the lamai. Then 0.6 divided by, here lamai 0.6 minus plus. Okay, here 0.6 minus into minus mean plus 0.4 into 10. Okay, the lamai. Here 0.6 divided by 0.6, 0.4, 1 into 10. Then lamai answer would be 6 rupees. What does it mean, lamai? Because of this unit tax, your equilibrium price, only that term, you cannot say equilibrium quantity, nothing. Only equilibrium price. You can say equilibrium price will increase by 6 rupees. Actually, that's the tax burden of consumer lamai. Other 4 rupees belongs to producer. Are you clear, lamai? Hayatmi? Punara? Sitma?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Puda, don't misunderstand, right? Here 6 mean, what does it mean? If government imposes a unit tax of 6 rupees, sorry, 10 rupees, 10 rupees, 10 rupees, increase, right, assume that this is supply curve and this is demand curve. Okay, the lamai. If government imposes a unit tax lamai, assume your original equilibrium price is 20 rupees. Then new equilibrium price would be 26. Original equilibrium price will increase by 26. Sorry, by 6 rupees, new price would be 6 rupees. Right? Using this equation, you can say by how much the equilibrium price increases. In other words, we can say consumers tax burden lamai. Right? Okay, the lamai. Right, you can do second question lamai. Yes. Tell me the value, Lamai. Now, price elasticity of supply 1.5, price elasticity of demand -1, unit tax given it's 6. Okay, the Lamai. How much the value, Punara?
3 rupees and 60 cents.
Sorry?
3 rupees and 60 cents.
Okay. Others, Lamai?
3.6.
3.6. Yes. Yeah, 3.6. Okay, the Lamai. Because price elasticity of supply is 1.5. Price elasticity of supply is 1.5. Price elasticity of supply is 1.5 divided by, again, price elasticity of supply 1.5 minus price elasticity of demand is 1 into unit tax. Unit tax is 6 rupees. 1.5 divided by, here it's added Lamai, so it should be 2.5 into 6. Here 3, 5, it's mean Lamai, it should be 3.6. It's mean Lamai, equilibrium price will increase by 3 and 6, 60 cent, 3 rupees and 60. Okay, the Lamai. Yeah, then Lamai, I miss one part, only one part. Yeah. Yeah, yes, good. Yeah, 3.6. I miss one part, Lamai, the situation where entire tax burden is borne by producer, Lamai. There are two situations. You can draw these two at home as homeworks. First one, Lamai, first situation is uh, perfectly elastic demand, perfectly elastic demand. Second one, Lamai, perfectly inelastic supply. Inelastic supply. Okay, the Lamai. In these two situations, Lamai, the total tax burden goes to producer. Total tax burden goes to producer. Okay, the Lamai. Putha, draw these two as homework. When drawing second one, Lamai, be careful. Here supply curve doesn't shift, Lamai. Try to draw. Yeah, make mistakes. I'll teach you. Okay, the Lamai. And Lamai, 2023 paper, this question, second part, was tested different way. Because Lamai, this situation is specific. In this situation, Lamai, there is a no dead weight loss. No dead weight loss. Okay, the Lamai. Here, dead weight loss 0. They directly ask Lamai, right? Explain one situation in which there's no dead weight loss using appropriate diagram. Okay, the Lamai. Any doubt, Lamai? This is the distribution of tax burden between consumers and producers. And it basically depends on price elasticity of demand and price elasticity. It's up to you, Punara. If you want, you can come. Otherwise, you no need to come and you can do your own work. It's up to you. Okay, the Lamai. Right, Lamai. That's enough today. See you tomorrow with subsidy. Take printouts, Lamai. Yeah. Tax is over, Lamai. 100% tax is over. Okay, the Lamai. Right. Okay, that's enough today. Thank you for coming. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
sir.
sir.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Right.